All right, good morning, everybody. We've got a lot of people coming on, more coming on as we speak. I'm going to give you some numbers for everybody that's on this call, like what you guys are achieving, right? So it's the Ben Kinney, Jordan Davis, Sarissa Lair, Brandon Ramirez team, like Austin, here in Austin, Texas. So all together, with all of us, we have 60 agents in Texas. That's our highest number, so that's exciting. Somebody's been hiring people. You have new friends to work with. I want to tell you that you guys have closed 670 units so far this year. 670. That's another record. You guys have closed volume of over 200 million. It was like 200 million and some change. So for the first time ever, you guys hit 200 million sold in 1 year. Just to give you an idea, 4 years ago, it was like 1/6 of that. So what you can achieve in a very short time together, but it's also every one of your achievements that have grown that gets us to this place. It's not one person. I think that's really beautiful. There's not one person winning. It's a lot of people winning, and that's important. Pending volume is another important number. Like, okay, great, we're closing all this, but like, are we actually putting more under contract or are we stalling? And you guys have 58 million pending right now. That's a lot. Listing volume, $34 million in listings right now that you guys can sell. So I think those numbers are really, really cool. I'm excited about it. The last number that's important is gross commission income, right? It's 5.6 million. So what's really interesting about that is if you cut that in half, right, because we're a 50-50 partnership, that's what our agents have made this year. There's not very many people out there who can say, my agent partners have made XYZ, right? Like, it's like maybe a small number. This is a very big number, $5.6 million of total revenue for our agents here. And after expenses and everything, like, that is really, really solid. I'm so psyched about that. And we still have half of October, all of November, all of December to do more. So I'm excited because Austin Keitner is going to tell us what he does so that we can see how to work smarter with listings and how to be more efficient and more effective so that our numbers go up. And at the same time, we find a quality of life, and quality of life is found when you work with sellers. So I'd love to hear, Austin, I don't want to give you like a long intro. All you guys need to know is this guy he is a listing machine, and I'm excited to hear from you. You're super valid. So the floor is yours for the next 25 minutes. Knock it out of the park.
I will try. Thank you for that intro. And on our end, it takes a team effort as well. So the things that I'm going to communicate are not just me. I've got Joel on the line who takes a shitload of listings. I think he's like 80% listings versus buyers. So that also tells me he needs to step up his buyer game. But just crushing listings, which is amazing. By the way, he'll gross over 1 million this year. By doing that within his own business. And that's with the help of showing assistants and obviously the admin support that we all benefit from by being part of Place and whatnot. But yeah, that's a lot of his effort. So Joel, please jump in at any moment. I'm just going to share kind of what we do. I wouldn't say that we do this perfectly for every listing, but we do this for the majority of listings. And we certainly have the model to work off of. And sometimes it depends on the type of property. Sometimes it depends on the seller and their willingness to do stuff. So we'll take this all with a grain of salt, and don't feel like you're failing if you're not doing this with every single person and every single property. But just with regards to pre-marketing a listing, there are so many lead generation opportunities before it even goes to market. So some of the things that we do, maybe I'll share my screen so that I can actually show and tell. Would that be useful for people?
I would love that. Yes, definitely.
Okay. Okie dokie. Let's do that. I'm just going to share everything. So we all use Brivity, correct?
Indeed.
Brivity, one of the amazing things, and I know that this isn't a Brivity webinar or happy hour or anything like that, and I certainly wouldn't do it justice if it was, But one of the features that is so amazing, when I've got a property that's coming up, like we've got an exclusive listing, it's going to be coming up once they find a house, but I want to start building a list of potential buyers for their property. And they're, 1.25 million. So anybody who's shopping between a million and 1.5 million, that person is going to get a phone call to let them know that we've got this awesome property. It's not on the market. I would first ask them if they've bought anything yet. So my follow-up call is, hey, I know that you were looking for something. Let's just take Kim, for example. Hey, I know that you're looking for a property on Shamrock. You inquired about a property on Shamrock. I'm curious, did you get the information you're looking for, and have you bought a property yet? And if they haven't bought a property yet, then I'm going to let them know about this off market we have, because my value proposition to buyers is not just what we find on MLS, but what we can also find off market. Part of our buyer consultation are 4 different places where we help our buyers find properties. One of them being on MLS. So we're going to set them up on an awesome search tool that they might not have access to right now. And maybe they do, but who cares? We're also going to find them property from builders if it matches the criteria that they're considering, or maybe something that's being renovated and it's not on the market yet. We're also going to find stuff for sale by owners, because we're going to scour sources of where we might find, of where people who are trying to sell their house on their own might be trying to sell their house. And we're going to find stuff off market. And that's going to be a combination of people who've inquired about our listings, people who've inquired about valuations, people that we've door knocked or cold called. And we're going to present those to our buyers. So I'm implying that value simply by making this call and letting them know about an off market opportunity that fits within the price range that they're shopping at. Any questions or comments on that to start? I want to utilize my database. I want to show them the value proposition. It's the same thing when I'm door knocking for leads. I'm showing them my value proposition. It turns out most sellers are moving somewhere else too. So if I can show them my value proposition by knocking on their door and finding off market opportunities, I am reinforcing my value for that person. Elizabeth, I think you were going to ask something.
Yeah, I was going to ask a question. How do you have accurate listing alerts for some people? Like, I know we sometimes just put people on listing alerts, just like random ones if we don't know what they're looking for, if I can't tell what properties they've been looking at. So do you have any tips on how to get more accurate information?
Honestly, you don't need to, because this person was looking at 3 Shamrock. I know where that's located, and I know approximately the price point. This is a $1.8 million listing in Long Branch. So I would do like all of South Etobicoke, which is like that community plus a few others that are nearby. And I would do anything from 1 million to 2 million, or maybe 1.5 to 2.5. It doesn't actually matter. All I want to know is if they're looking at the property. This is a bad example because I haven't actually done anything with this lead, as you can see. So again, that's why I'm not the host of Privity Happy Hour. But yeah, that part doesn't actually.
Really quick question to jump in. This is, so Austin, you're in Canada, right? Do you guys have clear cooperation at all? Like anything that you guys need to do as far as like if a property is already listed with somebody else or anything like that? Or how do you navigate that, I guess?
What do you mean?
So that's a good question. What do you mean? So whoever said, Jen Smith, what was your question? Can you unmute yourself really quick? There you are.
So, yeah. So with the NAR, we now have clear cooperation in place, which means that we can't market a property 24 hours prior to it going live. And I mean, we can only market 24 hours prior to it going live in the MLS. Otherwise, it has to be in the MLS for us to do any kind of marketing. I didn't realize that you were in Canada, so maybe it's a different set of rules up there, but I didn't know if we could actually be calling people before the listing is within that 24-hour window and actually be pre-marketing like you're suggesting. That was
okay. Yeah, that's a great question. So Gary Keller talks about in The Millionaire Real Estate Agent that typically people succeed in the gray areas. So for example, baseball, before the curveball was allowed, somebody threw a curveball and that wasn't technically allowed. And it wasn't against the rules. But anyway, so my point on this is that I might not solicit the specific property, but I might let them know that we have a listing or a couple listings coming up in that area. And because of the rules and regulations, I'm not actually allowed to disclose the property, but have you bought something? Would you be interested in taking a look when it does come to market? And I could describe it. It's a 3-bedroom, got a pool, whatever some of the features are. And then they go on my list. I tag them in my database as a candidate for that property. I would just actually put a tag for that address, because when I'm following up, when it does go to market, I can just search by that tag, throw those people in a dialer, and then I get to spread the good news. Hey, this property's coming on the market. Remember that property I told you about? Or remember that property you inquired about? It's actually coming on the market. When are you available to come see it?
Thank you. That's a great answer.
Okay, great. Glad it helps. All right. So we want to actually create new leads as well. So we want to go around and door knock for buyer leads, or what they'll really be is seller leads, because we want to go around and let people know that we're hosting a neighbors only open house. So we don't do this for most listings, because typically by the time it's ready to go to market, that's when we start open housing. But sometimes if the house is ready, like we might not get photos done till Friday or Saturday. We don't want to go to market on a Friday or Saturday because we want time for the property to syndicate with all the websites and it to show up on realtor.com or .ca in our case, so that the open house is like advertised. But we might, before we go to market, so we might not go to market till the following Tuesday or Wednesday, but we can invite all the neighbors to a neighbors only open house the weekend before and make them feel special. And they've probably been curious, especially if they've been seeing like stuff moving in and out or a renovation happening or something like that. So we can just be the person that invites them and ask them about their real estate plan. So the way that that might look, we might have a flyer. Am I still sharing my screen?
No, you want to reshare.
I will reshare. So just a simple flyer coming soon. We don't give the price just because we want that call to action. Sometimes people aren't home. I wouldn't rely on a flyer if I were you, but if you have a property that's coming soon and it's part of the budget and everything like that, it's a good leave behind. It's a good excuse to come by. This is a coming soon. We might do a neighbors only open house version of this, in which case you would literally just change the words up here. But I'm not giving too much because I want an actual call to action. If they weren't home, I'm still going to leave it behind. Truthfully, we don't get a lot of responses to flyers, so we don't invest a lot of money into it, but it does give some ammunition for the agent going by if it makes them feel more comfortable and makes it feel more purposeful. So we definitely do invest a little bit in it. And I would just position it saying, hey, listen, like we've got this property, it's coming to market next week. Do you know of anybody who's looking to move into the area? And then sometimes I'm handing the flyer at the same time, or sometimes I wait until they respond, and they usually say, no, I can't think of anyone. And then my response to that is, okay, great. Well, listen, we're doing a neighbors only open house. We'd love to get your opinion on how we've priced it and how we're presenting it to the market. Do you think you'd have time to come by and join us this weekend? And then they might say, yeah, maybe I'll think about it. And then I'll say, okay, either way, I'll send you the details and I'll let you know what it ends up selling for. What's the best email address for you? And then I'm ready, prepared. And I'm showing this body language because that's telling them that everybody is telling me their email address. Like I'm assuming the sale, if you will, by being prepared to take down the information. There's no reason for them not to give it to me. Everybody I ask gives it to me. So I'm just showing them through my body language and tone of voice and stuff that the next step is for them to give me that email address. And then they typically do. And then I say, okay, great. Well, listen, hopefully we'll see it. And by the way, and then I might even be walking away at this point. And then I might be saying, and by the way, how about you? What are your real estate plans? So Adelina, I hope you are recording this. So that like bit.
I am.
Okay, nice. That bit.
I'm going to share this with everybody.
Yeah, that little bit there, that might be that sequence of the way we deliver that is really important because we're making it about something purposeful. You know, like, hey, like this house is coming to the market soon. We'd love for you to come. Do you think you'd have time to join us? And then like we're getting them involved in the process and stuff like that. And then letting them know that we're going to give them value, which is, hey, listen, we'll let you know what it sells for. We'll let you know what happens with this listing. And by the way, we can send you other listings that are selling in the area so that you can keep your finger on the pulse. that's like the beauty of market reports, is then it's just automatic, and we can then look in to see who's actually looking at it and who gives a crap. And then just like casually walking away. So their guard is way down. We're just delivering value, and then their guard is way down. We're already walking away, so they don't have to feel like they're getting into like a sales pitch here, and just asking them about their plans. So it works really well. We get a lot of leads. We get a lot of sellers from doing door knocking and using that strategy. Any questions or comments on that? Yeah, choosing the neighbor. That's like a line I like to use. Like, hey, listen, we're going to market with this house. Do you have any friends or family that are looking to move to the area? Do you want to take advantage of this opportunity to choose your neighbor? Okay, now I've got these notes, like when it's on the market, we're doing open houses, we're doing door knocks, we're doing social media for leads, for mindshare. So Joel, tell us a little bit. Joel, are you still on here?
Yep.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about what you do for social media around your listings, because I don't know of anyone who does it better, actually.
Thank you. So Instagram's a big one for me. I do a lot of like the stories. So for example, like walking through the house and doing the coming soon, getting people excited about that. You can boost these stories and you can boost your posts, which is really cool. And you can do it like to a specific targeted area. So I think like pay to play is a pretty cool feature on that. You can just get in front of a lot of people in that designated area. But a good way of getting people, I'm not sure if anyone on the call or how many of you have like a specific niche within your business, whether that's like a geographic location or a certain demographic of people. But Instagram can be really good about that, because I can, for example, go into a group. Let's say, for example, my neighborhood is Mimico. That's the community that I focus on. I can go on Instagram and look up local businesses, local cafes, for example, go into the local cafe and see who's following that local cafe. And I can follow all of those people who are following that local cafe. Now, there's a pretty good chance that either they're following that cafe because they're very interested in coffee, or that they happen to live in that community. And then I can even go into that person and see who we both follow, who may also likely live in the community as well, or like they have mutual followers, and there's probably a good chance they know people in the community as well. So I just go crazy on that in my downtime. This isn't like a daily lead generating effort I would do when I have like the most energy, like right now. Right now would be a good time to get my calls through, because my voice is raspy, I'm not tired. Do the activities that are going to earn an income. And then like late at night, if I'm just sitting there watching Netflix or something, I can mindlessly just go through these different businesses, different local organizations, sports teams. There's so many things you could do for that, and just follow people. And
so Joel's got like the city councilor, or like, I guess that would be like the county, like whoever, I don't know, runs the area, like politicians or whatever. Like families, their families are like using Joel for their real estate stuff, because he's just like everywhere as far as they're concerned. So it's the combination of like social media. So you can actually boost your post to a specific geography. So now they're seeing you virtually. The things that Place is doing with, and that's probably gonna, I don't know if I should even talk about that yet, but that's like gonna be something that happens where like as soon as somebody goes to your website, even once, they're now gonna be followed around like on their TSN articles, on their Forbes articles, like whatever articles they're reading online, your ad for your properties is going to be on there, and it's going to be like called a catalog ad. So the new listings that your team is feeding into the MLS will automatically go into Facebook and start generating leads for that property. And then when new ones come on, if that person was ever looking in like the $600,000 to $800,000 range, every time properties come up in that range, they're going to be solicited by you to whatever thing that they're looking at. So you'll just be everywhere online. And then if you combine that with things, so once we're on the market now, we're going to be looking at things like physical presence. Like we know that, so like this is like a haggard looking open house sign, I'm realizing. It started raining, but I took a photo right before I came so I could show you guys. But we just put like a few dozen of these in the community over the weekend at like major intersections, strategically place them. We'll put them in front of like a prospect's house at the end of their driveway if we like just want that mind share. So that we can have a physical and a virtual presence for the leads that we're trying to capture and for the market share that we're trying to maintain mind share with in our areas. So we couldn't do open houses for some of our listings, and I think some places are locked down and not allowed to do open houses. We've been encouraged not to. So for the ones that we couldn't do, we just put like Mimico property packages, text VOH to 59559, and then we just send them a list of the properties that we have available with links that give them information about the property. And that'll just have nice photos of the property, a link to our website. So now we can actually see who's going and looking at this property and how many times and stuff. They get the floor plans, they get a call to action and stuff like that. So then we can actually see on MailChimp who's opening which link, and then on our website who's actually opening the property, and then we can focus our follow-up calls based on who's showing signs of life. And then when it's sold, then we have the opportunity to call a lot of people. This is probably where we don't. Well, we definitely do the social. That's like part of our just process. Database, we could probably do a better job of calling them, if I'm being completely honest. But obviously the signage, we want to put that. That's just a no-brainer. Everybody does it. And then door knocking with soul flyer. It'll depend on the property, but we want that ammunition. If we just sold a property, especially if it had multiple offers and stuff, there's no better door knocking opportunity for sellers, because then I'm going around saying, hey, listen, we just got 17 offers on this property. That means 16 people missed out. Would you like to sell your house if you could get the right price?
Something on that too, Austin, for the solds. Oh, and thanks, Adeline. I just saw the comment that I'm amazing on IG. Appreciate that. I love following your stories too. If I can share my screen really quick, Aus.
Yeah, of course. Hold on. Stop sharing. Go ahead.
So for example, we just sold this incredibly gorgeous luxury new home in the area. And we said, like, on MailChimp, so if you export the people from Riverty into MailChimp, you could create like a really like a custom email campaign. So for something like this, like maybe not for every sale, I don't want to annoy people or you know, pester them too much with like every single time we sell a home. But this is a special one in the neighborhood because it's the highest sale price ever for a home in this neighborhood. So people are curious about that, right? And it's like, it's just a massive house that I think most people are like, I wonder what's going to happen with that, right? And just to let them know that we were the ones to sell it and what that means for, you know, their values, given that the new homes are selling for more. So the land is now worth more, right? Everyone's property value just went up. You're welcome. In less of a, you know, not in that way, but also just, you know, making it a little bit personal. Here's a little like happy Halloween from my family to yours. And a sales map of like what we've been achieving in the neighborhood, right? The point of this is like, so if you export them from MailChimp, then if they unsubscribe, they're not unsubscribing from your Riverty, so you can't lose them that way. But also, it's an email touch that I got a lot of responses from. A lot of people are like, wow, great job on that. By the way, cute costume. So yeah, I think sending out like a just sold email blast for a special sale is also a good way to get more mind share too.
So Joel actually sends that out quarterly because he, first of all, earns enough income for us to justify it. He also pays for half out of his own pocket. So we're just applying the growth model. So instead of hiring an ISA for Joel, he wanted to market to the people that he can't get a hold of when he's door knocking or cold calling or whatever. So he chose that form of leverage instead of an ISA or an assistant or something like that.
Yeah, and this is the physical newsletter, but we also do the what I was referring to is just like a mail-in. It's free. It's MailChimp. I just basically, this is in an email marketing campaign that got blasted to the entire database, like a few thousand people. And then they just, at the bottom, it's like contact Joel, and they click on the button and they can email me directly. And I got some appointments out of that, and just people be like, wow, great job. That's a crazy sale.
And you know what I love about this? I know in Canada, you guys cannot actually prospect. You guys cannot like really pick up the phone and like cold call people, right?
It's there's a lot more privacy. Yeah, we don't get people's cell phone numbers, so we'd only get their landlines, which, as we know, a lot of people don't use anymore. And then, yeah, if they are on the do not call list, then we cannot.
I love what I love about all of this, guys, is if you're listening to them, like, they're crushing it. Joel, you're freaking crushing it. Austin, you guys crush it. And you have a really challenging thing, like, to a lot of people, like, they're like, well, I mean, I guess I can't like call them because I'm not getting their cell phone numbers. And you're like, okay, well, if we can't do that, we're going to go out and see them face to face. And I love that it's not an excuse, right? Like, you have found ways to really go out there and get the results that you want to get. Like it's your income to make, so you just go and get it.
Yeah.
I love that. Like everything you're doing is awesome. And yet it's foundationally based on, we're going to go do what we need to do in order to even have a database to send all this to. Who cares that you have great ideas if you don't have 2,000 people to send it to, right? And I see Joel pounding the pavement all the time. So it's a real thing. And that's how you build $1 million business. So high five, Joel. And Austin, you guys crushing it.
Yeah, Joel, quickly share the story. I know that there's only 2 minutes. Quickly share the story when you were door knocking, when you first started, you hadn't done any deals yet, and you sat on the bench, and you couldn't afford a slice of pizza. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I was just in a really down spot in my life. I came in the business with like $0. And I just put it all on the line. It was like, okay, well, I didn't have a kid at the time, and now I do, so it's like a little bit different. But I was like, okay, I need to make money. I am so sick of seeing all these property values go up in the air, and I'll never be able to afford a home given my current income unless I get ahead of this and start really increasing my income a lot to get ahead of that and beat the appreciation. Because the homes in our city go up by like 10 to 20% every year.
Specifically about not being able to afford pizza.
But I couldn't, that particular day I was door knocking, trying to go around being the man. And yet I couldn't even afford lunch, like not even an expensive lunch. I just couldn't even afford to feed myself. So I was just really depressed. And I was like sitting on a bench, like beating myself up, like, oh man, where do I get the confidence right now? Like, why would anyone trust me with their largest asset? I can't even afford to grab a slice. And I was just feeling really, really down and pathetic. But then I was like, you know what? Any moment I'm spending like this is going to prevent me from taking my life to a better place. So instead of thinking about where I'm at and like being down about that, I'm just going to remain excited about what there is to look forward to. And start putting myself in that position as though it's already happened. And start pretending like I'm not a guy who can't afford to buy a slice of pizza and a can of pop. I'm a guy who can go travel and take his family wherever he wants, even though I don't have a family yet. And I'm just in a position to live the kind of life I want, whatever that is.
How long ago was that?
3 years, three and a half years.
Okay, I want you guys to hear that. 3.5 years ago, Joel was just like anybody else who just started. Austin started out not as Austin, but a different version of Austin, right? Everybody on this call, right? We all started somewhere. We all started with not being able to like even pay for our own lunch sometimes, right? And by the way, if you can't pay for your own lunch, you're so far ahead of everybody else. Like that's awesome. Like you should be celebrating that. Like if you can make your car payment this month, like you're awesome. Like keep going, because 3.5 years later, like that compound effect happens. And Joel puts in the work. Please follow him on Instagram and you'll see what I mean. Austin puts in the work, right? Like these people put in the work, and I love that. I love that. Hey, can we have you guys back on in November? You guys, like, I mean, honestly, if you just go back and forth with like what's happening in your world, like that's literally, that's all. Like, I think that's really cool. Like November or December, you guys are very inspiring. And the reason I say that is, a lot of people will go out and have these like bright ideas, because there's never a shortage of ideas, right? There's always a shortage of like consistency. And I think I like that about you guys. You guys are like, you're just honest. Right?
Well, we love Texas, so we're happy to join anytime. Thank you for that.
You guys are awesome. Very, very awesome. I'm going to cut it short just because we're short on time. I know a lot of you guys are doing homeward training, and you're knock training today, and also lead genning right after this. Next week, we have Daniel, who took an entire subdivision. He's going to walk through what that looked like for him, from the initial conversations to nurturing these people, to getting them to sign for so much opportunity. And it's going to be a cool call. It's going to be like, I want you guys to be inspired, and Daniel is a consistent dude. So I can't wait to share more of that. You guys have an awesome day, and I will get this recording out as soon as it processes this morning. Joel, Austin, appreciate the heck out of you guys. Thank you so much.
You guys.
Bye guys.
Thank you.
Bye. Thanks, guys.
Thanks so much.